At 6:47 a.m. on a humid July morning in 2026, I was leaning against my kitchen counter in my suburban home in Willow Creek, Virginia, nursing a cup of black coffee when my backyard pool erupted into a surreal sapphire glow. It wasn't the inviting turquoise of a beach resort, but an otherworldly, pulsating hue that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi flick. I nearly choked on my coffee. Just 15 minutes earlier, the water had been crystal clear, reflecting the dawn sky. Now, it was so vibrant it made my azaleas look faded by comparison. Then I caught its shadows flickering near the side fence, stifled laughter, and the soft click of the gate. A head topped with wild curls and a sparkling headband appeared, followed by another draped in a lace veil. My quiet Saturday morning had just been hijacked by a wedding party invasion. I slid open the glass door and stepped onto the patio, the sharp tang of chlorine now laced with floral perfume and hairspray. The bride, probably mid-20s, was radiant, oblivious to the fact she was trespassing, kicking off her heels and sauntering toward my pool like it was her personal venue. Behind her, about a dozen guests trailed flowing pastel dresses, crisp suits, and stilettos stabbing my lawn. At the back, in a peach-colored gown that screamed mother of the bride, was Linda from the neighborhood association. Of course, it was Linda. Her eyes locked onto me like I was the one crashing her event. "We're just borrowing it for photos," she declared, as if that justified her entourage. A few groomsmen were already loosening their ties, eyeing the pool's deep end. My coffee was still warm, steam curling in the morning air, and for a moment, I just stared, daring her to explain why marching a wedding party into my yard at dawn was acceptable. She did. Linda always had an excuse. "The community pool's too crowded," she said, "and your garden's perfect for the aesthetic. We'll be quick." It was almost laughable. Property lines were mere suggestions to her. But the pool's color wasn't my imagination. It was intensifying, like liquid neon. A bridesmaid hesitated at the edge, frowning. "Is it supposed to look like that?" she asked, dipping her fingers in. Linda waved her off. "It's fine. Get in." The first splash echoed, then another. Soon, half the group was in, laughing and shrieking as their dresses clung to their skin, darkening in the water. I leaned against the patio railing, watching the chaos unfold. This wasn't a fight to pick, no, it was one to win later. Linda thrived on control, and arguing now would only feed her ego. But then, something shifted. The bridesmaid who'd tested the water yanked her hand back, staring at her blue-stained fingertips. Not a faint tint, vivid, undeniable blue. A scream cut through the laughter, not playful this time. "My dress," a woman cried. Groomsmen glanced down, their white shirts blooming with sapphire splotches. The bride twisted in the water, her veil floating like a ghost, her skin now matching the pool's glow. Linda, barefoot and fuming, shouted for them to calm down, insisting it would wash out. But the longer they stayed, the deeper the stain became, until everyone in the pool looked like they'd been dunked in dye. I stood there, a strange calm washing over me. I hadn't touched the pool since the night before, but I knew exactly why it was happening. It wasn't sabotage, not yet. It was a chemical quirk I'd meant to fix, triggered by the cheap sunscreen the community center stocked. A fluke, sure, but one I'd tuck away for later. The group scrambled out, dripping blue onto my patio, staining the grass, leaving smudges on their skin. The bride was cursing, a bridesmaid was crying, and Linda turned on me, her face red. "What did you put in there?" she demanded. I sipped my coffee, tilting my head. "Chlorine," I said. "You know, standard pool stuff." She pointed at the water, now a swirling spectacle. "This is vandalism. You'll hear from the association." I watched them file out, blue footprints trailing behind, and knew two things. Linda would escalate this by noon, and this accidental victory was too good to waste. If she thought this was my worst, she was in for a surprise. Next time, I'd be ready. By 9 a.m., Linda's silver SUV rolled up my driveway, parked crookedly, as if to make a statement. She stormed to my door, clutching a folder like it was a weapon. Her hair was still stiff with hairspray, but her lipstick was a fresh, furious coral. I opened the door before she could knock. "We need to discuss the damage you caused," she said, thrusting the folder at me. I let her in, mostly to keep her from melting on my porch in the Virginia heat. She plopped down at my kitchen table, uninvited, and unleashed a stack of complaints, photos of tear-streaked bridesmaids, close-ups of ruined cuffs, a spreadsheet tallying costs for dresses, salon fixes, even a hotel cleaning fee for the bride's suite. The numbers were absurd: $700 for a veil, $1,200 for emotional distress. I scanned the list, biting back a laugh. Interesting, I said, setting it down. How's this my fault? Her eyes widened. It's your pool. Your contaminated water. You let them in by not securing your property. Classic Linda trespass. Ruin your own clothes, then bill the homeowner. I pointed out I hadn't invited anyone. Their unannounced visit was, legally, trespassing. Her lips twitched, but she doubled down. Association rules require safe, usable amenities. Your pool wasn't safe. I smiled. My backyard's not a public facility, Linda. But I've got camera high-res ones that caught every second of your photo shoot. I can share them with the board. Or the police. Her fingers froze on her necklace. She pivoted, threatening to bring it to the association meeting to fine me for negligence. I told her I'd love to attend, share my footage, and maybe propose a fine for unauthorized property use. Her jaw clenched. You're making this worse, she hissed, gathering her papers. Funny, I said. I was thinking the same about you. That afternoon, I sent an email to the neighborhood listserv, short and sharp. An incident involving unauthorized pool use had caused damage to the trespassers. Footage was available, and I was considering legal action. By evening, my inbox was flooded. Neighbors curious, 3 offering to testify they'd seen the wedding party, 1 suggesting I dye the pool red next time for fun. The next day, a flyer appeared on my mailbox, a special association meeting in 3 days to discuss pool contamination. Linda's handiwork, no doubt, aiming to turn my private win into public shame. She didn't know she'd just handed me a stage. I spent those days preparing. I printed stills from my camera's crisp shots of the trespassers climbing my fence. I enlarged a photo of the bride mid-splash, her veil fanning out, skin already blue. I included a scientific article explaining the harmless chemical reaction behind the staining. At the meeting, held in the community center's sterile hall, I watched Linda sweep in with her allies, confident she'd bury me. She opened with a theatrical tale of toxic water and emotional trauma, painting me as a reckless neighbor. Then it was my turn. I played the footage on the projector, the room silent except for the gate's click and the bride's scream. I passed out the stills, letting the evidence speak. Then I explained the chemistry, the sunscreen reaction, the lack of sabotage. I cited trespassing laws and association bylaws. By the time I sat down, people were stifling laughs. Linda tried to interrupt, but I was ready for the inspection. I'd hidden time-release color capsules in the pool, set to dissolve later. When Greg, the inspector, arrived, the water was pristine. He tested it perfect chlorine, balanced pH, left a glowing report. As his SUV pulled away, the first wisps of blue swirled in the pool. Linda pointed, furious. There. It's happening again. I shrugged. Must be the light. Neighbors gathered, marveling at the color, calling it stunning. Linda's safety claims fizzled against Greg's report, and her pivot to property values fell flat. The pool became a local sensation, photos flooding the neighborhood's social media. I leaned into it, listing my pool for photography sessions, booking a mermaid shoot that drew crowds. Linda tried to shut it down, citing rules, but I knew the bylaws. She was bluffing. She escalated, sneaking into my yard one night, caught on camera pouring stain remover into the pool to kill the color. I filed a police report, had the powder tested, and presented it all at the next meeting. The room gasped at the footage of her sabotage. Her allies abandoned her, and the story spread like wildfire. I hosted a Blue Hour event, turning the pool into a community gem. The association approved a Blue Bash fundraiser, cementing the color as Willow Creek's signature shade. Linda was trapped, her reputation in tatters, her name tied to the trespassing saga. So what do you think? Was I too harsh on Linda, or did she deserve every bit of it? Should I have pressed charges for her sabotage, or was public humiliation enough? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more wild neighborhood tales.